Hello, everyone, and welcome to iReadit, bringing you your daily dose of the internet for Monday, January 15th, 2018. I am Michael Schwahn.
And I'm Nathan Wood.
Please remember, everyone, you can help support our show by going to patreon.com/dailyinternet. In addition, we do go live Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Alaska time on Facebook and YouTube, and you can submit stories for us to talk about, news stories, to our subreddit, which is our iRedditcast, or send them to us in an email, which is feedback.ireddit@gmail.com. Nathan, how are you doing today?
Real sleepy.
Yeah, real sleepy?
Real sleepy. I didn't get much sleep because I was up late last night writing D&D stuff, and then some of my friends wanted an impromptu D&D encounter today, so we played a bit earlier, and then one of them died.
Beautiful.
It was pretty great.
Sounds great. I apologize to those who do watch us live. The show is 15 minutes late, and that's because at about, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock, so, like 2.5 hours before the show, I was like, okay, I'm going to look up this, I'm going to look up this, I want to know how to do this, I'm going to look up some more stuff on audio production, okay, I'm going to change this, and this. All right, that sounds really good, and then I added Nathan to the call, and everything was ruined. And so, luckily we started that 30 minutes before the show was supposed to start, but it took me 45 minutes to fix, and I'm not even sure if I actually fixed it. So,
Oh, joy.
Oh, joy indeed. Oh, joy indeed. So, luckily everything looks like it's recording correctly. And, yeah, we'll see. Unfortunately at this point, anything, if you are watching us live, I see some people have already joined the Facebook chat room. Let me know if everything sounds okay, please. Because
Jin just texted me saying that I look good today, so I don't care if I sound good. I just look good.
You look good. Too bad podcasts are mostly an audio thing.
It's all right. People can look at me. I can't actually text at the moment, Jin. My text messaging is completely fucked up.
Did you not pay your GCI bill?
No, I did, and it just hasn't been working. It'll work intermittently. There'll be like a couple days a week that it'll start working, and it'll just stop after that.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, I'm real pissed because I've talked to them like 3 or 4 times about this, and nothing. But, they're like the only good phone service in town.
Yeah, which is real unfortunate. You could get Verizon, ha! No, definitely not.
No.
We'll also see. People are saying everything sounds good in the chat room. Thank you. I appreciate you. I have been borderline tearing my hair out for the last 20 minutes because I was like, it's time to start. I ruined things. But we'll see what happens when I do all the post-production stuff, because that was the problem before, was it sounded okay. It didn't sound any problems when it came to when we were initially recording, and then once I did the normal post-production stuff to make all of the little changes and stuff to actually make it sound good when you have your earphones in and you download it on your phone, and we take the silence out so it doesn't sound the same as a live conversation because podcasts are different. And I was getting this weird echo, and I think I fixed it. If I didn't, there's literally no way to fix it now. So if you are still listening to the downloaded version of this on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever else you get this podcast, and if you're hearing that, I apologize. And, I apologize. So, Nathan, how was your weekend?
My D&D games went kind of all right this weekend.
You're on 3 of them now, yeah?
I am, but we only played 2 of them. Star Wars didn't fire, so I played my wizard, and we got into a boss fight, and my wizard is so broken that none of my friends got hit by the boss, and I pretty much won 1v1 the boss by myself.
That sounds pretty broken.
I dropped his ass into an acid pit, and then I cast black tentacles on the inside of the acid pit to keep him down.
Pathfinder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he climbs out of the pit after the pit, the pit rises up, and he's got, no arms left. They're dripping because, he's been melting. And he goes on this monologue about how he's in this area, and all he sees is at a barren, unnatural force being the angel that's around us, and a bunch of dead men being the undead that are around us. And I go, funny, all I see is one dead man, and I summon a hole underneath him again, and he fucking dies.
You're a jerk. Okay, so shall we get started on the news, sir?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, let's see if this hall is broken too. I'm not grumpy, I swear. I'm quite grumpy. If Martin Luther King Jr. were alive today, politicians would denounce him.
This is submitted by CogIt4C to Our Politics.
So it is Monday, January 15th. It is also Martin Luther King Day in celebration of the man Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights activist from the 1900s that, did a lot of really great things for making people be treated fairly. And unfortunately, as good as that has gotten today, it is still nowhere close to being there. We are still not quite to the dream that he had hoped for before his untimely death by assassination, because people suck. Well, and so, a lot of people like to spread Martin Luther King quotes today. If and I highly advise everyone just take 5 minutes, go just watch a video about who he is and what he did. And he's a very important person in American history and in a lot of history across the board, because a lot of things that happen in America are then reflected in a lot of other countries. But because people want to keep things in the current political climate, people wanted to raise the concern of how Martin Luther King would be received today. And how he would perceive things today. And they're saying, a lot of politicians wouldn't like Martin Luther King in the current state of affairs because of the things that he fought for, still things that need to be fought for today, so they would have a large amount of opposition to him. But the funny thing is that when people write about someone from, so long ago today, is that they don't realize that he had a ton of pushback then.
Right. And, no matter what, he's going to have pushback.
Well, yeah.
People, there's no matter what, there's going to be an opposite view of your view.
Well, and, people are also trying to call, hypocrite on people, because some people are, putting forth Martin Luther King quotes, and then, when it comes to politicians, and then following that up with very strong actions that are not
little to no good actions.
Yeah, well, in terms of politics, good can be really subjective, but it doesn't follow in line with what is Martin Luther King's direction.
Yeah, no, I can understand. There are definitely a bunch of people who are not in the same plane as Martin Luther when it comes to political climates.
And also, coming with, just a week ago, Donald Trump signed into effect a bill that turned Martin Luther King's birthplace into a national park. But then, we also had the whole shithole comments that happened recently.
Mm-hmm.
And
so, there's going to be contention.
Well, and another one was that, a lot of what Martin Luther King was peaceful protests, and raising awareness to the issues at hand. And people cheer for what Martin Luther King did, but really slam Colin Kaepernick for kneeling during the national anthem, which is a very peaceful protest.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like sitting outside of a fucking... it's like sit-downs. That's what they're called.
Yep.
Because it pretty much is.
So, it is interesting, and the thing is that for the most part, anyone that tries to cherry pick a beautiful quote from anybody, regardless of who that is, whether it's Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi or anything like that, it is really...
Or Hitler even.
Yeah, you can pick good quotes from anybody and use them to further yourself. But the problem is that you can side with a single sentence, but it's hard to actually be aligned with an entire ideal.
Yeah, it's yeah. Just people are so vastly different when it comes to their way of thinking.
Well, and also it can take so little to change one ideal, like to be completely different from one person to another.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it doesn't really take much.
4.
Indonesia Stock Exchange floor collapses. Many casualties reported.
This was submitted by Lone Hamish to Our World News.
Yep. So there was a group of people, like it's the Indonesia Stock Exchange. So of course there was a good number of people there. But in this particular case, the worst injured group of people was a very large group of university students from the island of Sumatra. They were visiting the building on a study tour, and they're currently looking into it. There was no foul play that can be found. There was no bomb. There is no anything like that. It was just that the mezzanine, the second floor balcony, just collapsed. It couldn't bear the weight of the 70 people that was on it.
Damn.
And it should
really
be
need
able
to fix that,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's too late to fix it. The entire mezzanine collapsed and severely injured a good number of people. 67 people had to be kept overnight in a hospital. 17 are seriously injured.
Yeah, that's why they have fucking population limits, not population, just limits on how many people you can have in an area.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's a fire hazard, or in this case, the floor fucking collapsing.
Well, and so they're going to be investigating the people that built it because because there was no foul play, unless there was foul play in the construction of the building, but because there was no one intentionally damaged the integrity of the mezzanine or anything like that, then that just means there was a problem in its construction. And, well, that's what engineers are supposed to be for, to prevent such things from happening.
Yeah. So Joe in the chat says that Martin Luther was never violent, so yeah, if he was to be the one running the protest today, yeah, I'd be cool with him. Black Lives Matter could learn a lot from him. There's a lot of people in Black Lives Matter that are very much anti-violence, that do hold protests. And there were definitely people at the time of Martin Luther King Jr. who were very violent in their protests, i.e. like the Black Panthers.
And
so
Martin Luther denounced them.
To say that the issues today are different from back then is just false.
So
because they hold very much the same kind of issues.
Yeah, and I mean Martin Luther King also, said you shouldn't be violent. That's not the way that you answered or anything like that. And he, basically said that is not the correct course of action, just as many people, including those in charge of Black Lives Matter today. And Black Lives Matter is actually one of the closest things in terms of comparison that you can offer in terms of a comparison to Martin Luther King, in terms of what they're fighting for and the movements that both of them are after, is very much in line with one another. And just as there are some Black Lives Matter protests that have a very small group of violent protesters, in which you're no longer protesters, you're rioters, there was also rioters that occurred during Martin Luther King's movement as well. And he spent a very good amount of time trying to convince people not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I mean, and you can, in some ways, call Colin Kaepernick a very similar type of individual, because all he's doing is nonviolent things.
Yep. And much like Martin Luther King was, he was heavily ostracized for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fortunately, Colin Kaepernick hasn't had the actions taken against him that were taken against Martin Luther King in terms of aggressive people. I mean, Martin Luther King was assaulted multiple times. He had to go to the hospital because he was stabbed with it was a letter opener. And
physically assaulted.
And then he ended up being assassinated when it all came to be. So his non-violent protest ended up with violence against him. So it's
no matter what, even if you try non-violent protests or violent protests, you're still going to have violence against you from the opposite end.
Because people suck.
Mm-hmm.
So back onto this thing in Indonesia, though, that's all we really have right now, is that because whether it was a building error or something like that, they don't have that answer yet, but they are going to be investigating into it to see if there was a problem with the building and the actual construction of that mezzanine that caused it to collapse, that caused so much damage to the people, to so many injuries to occur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they really should start reviewing their building codes.
Well, I mean, the thing is that even if you have the building codes, all that really does is allow you to bring action against the people that built it if they didn't follow building codes. So, I mean, that having correct building codes might not have necessarily prevented this from happening.
Mm-hmm. So Joe in the chat real quick says, yes, but he denounced the Black Panthers like you said, Michael, but denouncing of these violent incidents by Black Lives Matter seems to be lacking. It is not that it is lacking. It is that purely you are not paying enough attention.
Yeah, and also, like, if you only pay attention to what the media feeds you, they don't care.
Especially if it's the right-wing media, they're not going to be telling you what
or in general. Like, in general, the media only wants what grabs people's attention. People don't pay attention to apologies. People pay attention to drama, to activity. Someone getting up there and saying that this is not okay is not what people don't care.
Yeah. It's not what brings in the clicks.
Yeah. Like it's only about what makes money.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Russia is in possession of an underwater nuclear drone capable of carrying a 100 megaton nuclear warhead.
This was submitted by Nioki23 to Our World News.
So this is an interesting situation, mostly because of where this information came from. So
where did it come from?
It came from a leak from the Pentagon.
Huh.
There is a...
So at least the U.S. already knows about it?
Yeah, well, and as we talked about before, when it comes to the military and world powers and things that are happening, there are lots of things that are most likely happening that we aren't aware about, that we don't know about, that we maybe shouldn't know about because it would lead to concern that might not be warranted at the time. Such as this. Like, it'd be really easy to spin this in a way to make Russia, I mean, not that they're great people in a worldview right now anyway, but it'd be really easy to spin this to make it look like Russia is ready to launch a 100 megaton nuclear warhead. So, and that's why, there's probably lots of things, even beyond this, about other countries that we have never even mentioned, that I don't even recognize the name of, that probably have some ability to do something, and they're like, this isn't actually a concern, this is just on our report review, it's on our, the list of things we're aware of, because we're the Pentagon, and because we're United States, but we don't need to talk about it because it's not a concern right now. Same deal with this submarine. So, the submarine, we've known about it since, 2016, so we've known about it for about a year and a half now, and it has the potential to hold this massive warhead. We only found out about it because it had never been publicly disclosed, not by Russia, not by the United States, and we found about it because there was a review of basically information that was being talked about and presented to the Pentagon that got leaked out.
Ooh.
And
that's well, who's doing the leak? Do we know?
We don't know, and that's the other concern and it's one of the things that our current president Donald Trump has been very concerned about is who is leaking all of this information out of the United States government, because while we're like, oh man, we've heard about such and such things happening, like within the Trump administration, and Donald Trump's like, who's leaking stuff about me talking in my own private time? Hubba dubba duh. This is a little bit larger concern because it's not about the president, like the shithole comments or anything like that. This is
world safety technically,
right? And maybe that's why they thought that they should leak the information. But it also is, if there was a concern, the United States military would deal with it because that's what we do, and that's why we spend billions and billions and billions and trillions.
Unless
of
we're
dollars.
not supposed to know about it.
The United States or the United States citizens?
United States. No, like the actual United States. If we're not supposed to know about it, then fuck, we may not do anything about it.
Sure, but we've known about this since 2016.
Right.
Well,
have we done anything about it?
No, because apparently we don't need to. The official response from the Pentagon said, our discussion has been robust and several drafts have been written. However, the nuclear posture review has not been completed and will ultimately be reviewed and approved by the President and the Secretary of Defense. As a general practice, we do not discuss pre-decisional draft copies of strategies and reviews. That's all they said.
This is a good thing for one reason and one reason only.
And that is?
Well, if at any point in the Pacific Ocean, like, a portal rips open to wherever the fucking kaiju come from Pacific Rim,
yeah,
then we can at least bomb that portal, or Cthulhu even.
Would this work?
There's only one way to find out.
We have Tim in the chat room says, you still haven't fixed your picture frame.
It hasn't gotten up to 200.
Yeah, you can go to patreon.com/dailyinternet and help this show live on and continue. And once we hit 200, that will be completed and fixed, and you will never have to look at that abomination again.
Yep.
And maybe I'll even convince Nathan to change the picture. So because I know it's an anemone, but I swear it looks like a naked woman.
Yeah, it's because you're just fucking perverted.
Yeah, right. 100%. Not really. It's just. I think it's because that's what I thought it was the first time, and now my brain is like, that's just what that is.
Weirdo. It's definitely an anemone.
2,
Walmart officials plan to cut thousands of jobs through store closures and automation.
As is submitted by Mavia to our Futurology.
Walmart recently touted a string of raises. They're raising their minimum wage to $11 an hour across the United States. They're also saying we're going to give some bonuses to different employees. And with that, you know, they're like, look at all this stuff thanks to the tax cut that the Trump administration is giving us. Well, they're also laying off a ton of employees. 63 Sam's Club locations, which are a branch of Walmart, are being closed across the United States, which is going to result in a massive loss of jobs, thousands of employees across the United States. They're also, we talked about this previously a few months ago, that Walmart is wanting to compete with Amazon with the zero-employee stores, the stores where you just walk in, grab what you want off the shelf, and walk out. You don't have to talk to anybody. It is automatically charged to an account that you have set up. And so full automation without anybody means that there's even less jobs. And ultimately, what they've also found is that these bonuses that they're wanting to give out are going to be received by such a small number of people that it basically doesn't even count as an expense.
Wow. God damn, robots taking over literally all of our fucking jobs. It took our jobs!
So, and this is a concern on a larger scale because Walmart is the largest employer in the United States.
Yeah, there's tons of people who work at Walmart. And they're a lot of equal opportunity opportunity employer too. Because like there's tons of older people or mentally handicapped people, disabled people who work there.
Like, the thing that baffles me, and obviously, you know, the math and the science and stuff might not work out perfectly, but there was a YouTube video by, I can't remember who it's by anymore, but they did the math of how much Walmart does in terms of sales, because we can get those from their quarterly reports. If they increased every single product in the store, store's price by 1 penny, they'd be able to pay all of their employees like $16.72 an hour minimum.
God.
Because of the amount of product they move.
Yeah. So Joe in the chat says, my guess is that they're closing the Sam's Club to avoid what has happened to Sears, Kmart, and many other large retailers lately. Actually, they're closing the Sam's Club to be they're closing Sam's Clubs to be used as a warehouse storage, essentially, for their automated fucking stores.
Interesting. Does it mean we're gonna get one?
An automated store? No, I think they were just getting rid of fucking Sam's Clubs. At least when it came to ours. It was real unfortunate because like Sam's Club and Costco are like the two best places ever.
I don't have access to either of those. Like I probably would but where we live, we don't have very much storage. So like bulk stuff is just like we don't have anywhere to put it. Like, it's great that you can get 4 massive things of ketchup for the price of a regular bottle of ketchup at, you know, like the normal Walmart or a Fred Meyer's. That's cool and all. But I don't have anywhere to put 4 massive bottles of ketchup.
I now have more pantry space. So as soon as I get enough money, I'm going to get a subscription to their, like, services. I don't remember what the source was. I was talking to Draven yesterday about it. Draven was telling me. So ask Draven for the sources.
Or just Google it.
Yeah, or Google it. That'll work.
Yeah. I mean, and if it ends up being wrong, come back and yell at us. Because that's cool.
Or yell at Draven, whatever.
1.
The first film to be screened in Saudi Arabia after a 35-year ban on cinemas was the Emoji Movie.
Oh, God. This is submitted by One Heaped and Stir to our movies. I'm
sad. It is about how that is. But they don't have any actual cinemas built yet. They don't have anything constructed to actually properly show films. So all of the films that are currently being aired are in improvised areas. Like some are literally being filmed in McDonald's and stuff like that. And because the majority of areas that are presenting films that we're able to easily get them are areas engineered towards children, it doesn't surprise me that the Emoji Movie is the first one that is actually going.
I guess it makes sense, but it's real unfortunate. That is not one of the movies you want to be presenting as, like, you know, a movie, really.
Yeah. So, yeah. Either way, I mean, it's going to continue to grow and blossom in Saudi Arabia. They haven't had access to films for, 35 years. So, really, at this point, they're just excited to get anything at all because they haven't had movies. For the longest time, they're traveling to the surrounding countries for entertainment.
Which is real shitty when your fucking country is, like, loaded with fucking money.
Yep. Well, and, like, they were traveling to Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, so that they could go see films and stuff. And the government was like, well, if we should not have that money leave the country. We want that money.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is hilarious because they allow filming in the country, but they don't allow movies. Because wasn't part of that one of those Mission Impossible movies filmed there?
Maybe, I don't know. They have said that they're going to be censoring movies to still fit in with the government's agenda, essentially. But what that means currently, we don't know.
It just means that they're going to be censoring films to be more towards their view of how the world should be.
Which isn't anything unique.
Like it happens around the world everywhere.
Yeah, even in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep, we get different copies of some movies.
But they are the first permanent theaters are supposed to open in March in Saudi Arabia. By 2030, there should be around they're projected to see around 300 cinemas with 2,000 screens, and are expecting it to be a $24 billion industry for Saudi Arabia.
So yeah, that's cool.
Nick in the chat room says, "Cats, please. Needs more cats." I don't have.
Alphonse is downstairs. I can't grab him right now.
You've let Nick Dennis down. He's never going to listen to us again.
I'm sorry. He was getting really bitchy today. He was fucking clawing at anything that got close to him.
Why would you talk about Nick that way?
No, not Nick. I don't know if Nick was bitchy today.
Anyway.
9.
Nope.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me.
Nathan, what did you care about in the last 24 hours?
Aside from all the fucking D&D I played, there's this thing here.
Or 72 hours.
It says, Trump is spending Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day that he and every president since 1994 have designated as a day of service, golfing for the 94th time during his presidency instead of doing acts of community service and civic work like past presidents. I just find it insane that he's golfed 94 times this year.
Well, and I wonder...
There are retired people who are golf fanatics and literally live on a golf course that don't play that much golf in a year.
I wonder what that means, by the way, 94 times. Does a weekend at Mar-a-Lago, and if he golfs on Saturday and Sunday, does that count as one time?
I don't know. I don't know if it's rounds or if it's 94 times, just him going there.
Like, hang on. How do I open my calculator on this thing? So 365 divided by 94. So, wait. Why did I do it that way?
I don't know.
Oh, now I understand why I did it that way. That is one game of golf. It must be per day or per 18 holes. Is there 18 holes in a game of golf? I don't know anything about golf. I know you want low numbers, and it's based on par of how many times it should take you to get to the hole. Anyway, 365 divided by 94, that is a game of golf approximately just shy of every 4 days.
Damn.
So I'm assuming it's completed games of like 18 holes or like each day.
Yeah, but like, goddamn, that's still a lot in a year.
You know, is golf something that when you get old or older, you just think is cool? Because
I think golf is cool now.
I still don't. I still think it's boring.
I feel like it's part of my heritage. I also love mini golf, and I love playing golf games like Mario Golf or Tiger Woods and stuff.
Side story: have you played Golf Story?
Mm-mm.
You need. Oh, you don't have a
It's good.
Switch.
I don't have a Switch now.
Okay, you should get a Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and you should play Golf Story.
Okay.
It is take golf, and mix it with a JRPG.
I love it. One of the Elite Four members in Pokemon Sun is a golfer, and she just stands there and she like golfs her ball into her Pokeball into combat. But like, I was so upset with her sprite choice because it just shows her standing back there with her golf club in hand instead of her like crouched sizing up the fucking battlefield like I felt like she should have. It's goddamn disappointing.
Sorry, Nathan.
That's all right.
So how much science do we have on Pokeballs? Like, can you drop the Pokeball to the ground and then, like, an empty one and then golf it at a Pokemon?
Yes, actually you can, because in the manga, Gold will use a pool stick to launch Pokeballs at things. Meanwhile, Crystal broke her fucking arms once and had to go around kicking Pokeballs at things.
Okay.
So I assume a golf club would be just fine.
Okay. So, in the Pokemon non-video game universe, are Pokeballs reusable? Like, what if you miss?
If you miss, I assume you can pick it right back up as long as it's not broken. What I assume happens most of the time is you chuck the ball so fucking hard you end up breaking it.
Okay. So, and then if they break out of it, is it just a broken ball?
Yes.
Okay, and that's why you can't reuse it?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, and like, Pokeballs are literally like $2 in Pokemon World, right?
They are 200 per 200 yen.
Which
so
is
yeah,
about $2. Okay. Interesting. Pretty impressive technology for $2.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I cared about two things. One is this was the most upvoted post in relation to this, and I'm just going to phrase it as Hawaii.
Yeah, and this is submitted by Echo Cookie to our Ask Reddit. Hold up, real quick though. Joe in the chat says, "Imagine how much D&D Nathan would play if he became president." I would probably stop playing D&D if I was president. I'd probably stop doing a lot of fun things because I'm fucking president and I understand.
Isn't it? Does that make you sad, Nathan, that you understand that more than our president?
That I'm more of an adult than our president. Yes.
That makes me sad. Anyway, so it didn't fall into our normal news cycle because we don't do shows on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. If you would like to do so, patreon.com/dailyinternet. And what happened is that there was a legitimate false alarm of a missile that was heading towards Hawaii. Everyone on their phones at 8:07 a.m. on Saturday, I think is when it was, received a message that there was a missile that was heading towards Hawaii. And they did not even get the first mention that it was a false alarm until 8:20, and they did not receive full notice across everything until 8:43. So
I saw videos of people like throwing their children into sewers, essentially.
Yeah, so for like 36 minutes, everyone thought that Hawaii was about to be just erased from the map. And, well, if you're curious what happened, well, every time there's a shift change at the emergency center in Hawaii, they do a test of the missile alert system. But the way that they do that is it's literally a drop down at the top of your computer under a tab that you click missile alert, and then there is test and missile, and it's like test missile alert or missile alert. And so during one of the shift change, someone clicked the wrong button. That's literally the whole explanation for what happened. And so that employee has been moved. They have not been fired, and they are already working on instituting changes to make sure that doesn't happen, including a two-person system of double-check things. One person tests it, and the other person approves the check, or one person sends out the warning, and another person approves the warning. Well, this also gave people a whole lot of perspective when it comes to life of when you are being told by the government that a missile is coming to erase you from the planet. And this particular post that is linked in the show notes is in regards to the actual question posed is people who made an impulse decision when they found out Hawaii was going to be nuked. What did you do, and do you regret it? And if you want just a little bit of time to read something, I advise just opening that link and just reading the stories that people have set out, because it's very serene about what's happening and how people react to things. Like, there was a lot of people that panicked, there was a lot of people that stayed calm, and just the different reactions from people are very interesting about, like, well, sometime in the next, like, 20 minutes probably, I'm probably going to die, so what am I going to do with that 20 minutes? Some people continue to play golf in regards to our previous conversation. A lot of people called and texted loved ones. Some people panicked. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
From what I'm reading in this fucking Reddit board or Reddit thread, a lot of people are just like, pretty much did nothing and accepted the death. And I was like, yep, these are all millennials.
Yeah, these are all people ages like 18 to 35. Of like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yep,
no,
all right.
absolutely.
So, could you hurry it up?
Yeah, right?
Jesus. The other thing
It's been 30 minutes now. I've been waiting for this thing to drop. I don't got all fucking day. I got to get to work.
So, that's interesting. The other part of it, the other thing I cared about over the weekend was I completed the game Legend of Dragoon over this weekend.
Yeah.
And, well, one,
I'm talking about.
if you want to see some of the worst voice acting in history, which occurred back in 1990, like 6 or 7 or whatever, the final cutscene of that game is atrocious.
Yeah, it is.
But in terms of what I thought about it, 20 years ago, that game would have been like 9.5 out of 10. Today, it's like 6 out of 10. It hasn't aged super well. It doesn't have a great story. It's got a really good world and setting, good backstory, and it does a good job of delivering it to you. But the actual story itself is cliche and mundane and pretty boring. And also, like, the gimmick in the game is fantastic. The addition for combat is amazing and is what makes the game good. But otherwise, the game has a lot of mechanics that need to be better. But I enjoyed it. If you enjoy RPGs, if you enjoy story-focused games, it's a game that I definitely recommend everyone to play at least once, but it is probably not something that you're going to want to come back to.
What are you talking about? I'm currently playing through my 4th playthrough of it.
Power to you, sir.
Yeah, I fucking love that game. That game's amazing.
Purely because of the combat.
I mean, not just because of the combat. I enjoy the fucking cheesy-ass story. Just the dragoons. Fucking cool as shit.
In any case, though, I do recommend it. I will not be playing it again.
Yo, did you get Kongol's Dragoon Spirit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're guaranteed to get it, even if
No,
you
you're
miss
not.
it the first time.
Well, you're not guaranteed to get it the second time. You can completely skip over it.
No, in the very end, when you do his personal quest and his solo fight, you are guaranteed to get it if you have not gotten it yet. It's basically at the very end of the game.
Yo, I'm fairly certain I went through the first time I played through the game, I didn't get it. Though I might have gotten it and just not noticed because I never used Kongol the first time.
That's probably it. Because at the very end of the game, when everyone is doing their personal little fights with the past, essentially,
Yeah.
if you haven't gotten his spirit yet, you get it then.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I just never used him. He was real cool, but, like, kind of shitty.
Yeah,
Real shitty.
well, he's slow as shit and has no magic defense.
But he hits like a fucking truck.
So do other characters.
Yeah, much better characters like, Sir
Albert.
Blabbitz.
Albert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, we're going to get out of here, everybody. If you listen to this show, in general, like this particular episode, I mean.
The fucking Cranberry singer died too, Dolores O'Riordan.
I don't know who that is, but
She's from the Cranberries. She's the lead singer.
I don't know who the Cranberries are.
You would if you listened to some songs.
Probably. I'm real bad with names. Anyway, so Nathan's got a new microphone today. I changed a bunch of audio settings. If you noticed anything better, worse than
I apologize for the twang just now as I fucking lifted it up.
If you notice anything better or worse from previous episodes, please let me know so that we can try and adjust it or do things better that we did before. Please.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be great. Also, the first time ever we got a piece of feedback on our album cover, on our art, on our title card. This thing, the actual like logo, essentially.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey, if everyone wants to throw back to the old overlay. Anyway, yeah, we got feedback on that on iReddit because somebody was on Reddit. And basically someone said that it was terrible. And I was like, can you tell me more? And they're like, well, I don't want to be rude. And I was like, no, be rude. Why do you hate it? Tell me. And they're like, well, it kind of looks like someone made it with coral art. And I'm like, what program is that from? And they're like, it's programmed from like 1994, and it made ugly-ass pictures like yours. And I'm like, all right then. Well, thank you very much. People are always so concerned to give feedback. Give feedback. Like,
yeah, and if you want, you can do it for us.
Like, if people, like, when people create something, and I understand that it is hard for a lot of people when you create something to be told that it is bad, that it is garbage, that it is not good. But for people like me and Nathan, this is 414 episodes. That's how many episodes it took before one person said, I don't like your album art. 414.
In quite a while.
If you we want to know what is good and what is bad, what you like, what you dislike, because we want to make it better. Yeah, I mean, if you message us and be like, your show is shit, I hate the format, I'm gonna be like, damn, that fucking hurts, bro. But if you don't provide the reason why, I'm gonna ask you why, because I want to know what you don't like. We need to know so we can make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. Help us help you, essentially.
Yeah. So if you have any problems with the show, if it's about like the small little conversations that me and Nathan have before we get into the news, if you have problems with the conversations we have after the news, if you have problems with like the guests that we've brought on, yes, I know some of them are real bad, and I'm sorry. If there's something you don't like, if there's something in terms of the audio, you're like, I'm always hearing this in your audio. I might not hear it. I listen to the show about once every 2 weeks just to make sure we're still on track of where I think the audio should be and the flow and stuff like that. But I've also recorded 414 episodes, listened to like 200. At this point, like, my brain doesn't hear the same things that somebody else hears. So if you come across something, let us know. That way we can make it better.
Yeah, it definitely helps us out.
Because if we don't know, we can't fix it.
Yep.
Tear us down so we can build it up and make it better again. Okay, we're going to get out of here. If you would like to submit stories for us to talk about, I don't care if it's a news story from 6 months ago, unless it's one we've already talked about, in which I'll let you know. Anyway, send it to us on our subreddit, which is our iRedditcast, or in an email, feedback.ireddit@gmail.com. You can call and yell at us and tell us what you think we need to hear, which is 508-738-2278 to leave us a voicemail. You can catch the show on all social media at iRedditcast. That is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. All of that's at iRedditcast. You can support the show at patreon.com/dailyinternet or by leaving 5-star reviews or following and subscribing on all of those platforms I already mentioned. All of that helps immensely because it helps us get discovered by more people. If you want to find me on social media, I am at Schwahn Michael and Nathan is at Bimmenstein. Nathan, anything before we go?
No, my phone's going to keep vibrating, so you might hear that. But, yeah, I don't really have anything.
All right, everybody. Then that is your 414th dose of the Internet. I am Michael Schwahn.
And I'm Nathan Wood.
And please remember, everybody,
don't get eliminated!
Have a good day, everyone.